My name is Victor Ochen. I am the director for African Youth Initiative Network. African Youth Initiative Network is a non-profit NGO in Uganda, established in 2005 with a mission as to ensure communities with credible leadership that represents the culture of human rights. 3 years after the American Friends Service Committee came up with an initiative called Africa Initiative Program, which was about mobilizing and training the young leaders in the continent. The director came from Philadelphia and he called me and said, I want to have a private lunch with you. And then said, having been here for the last 3 weeks, I have heard you, I've seen you, I've learned a lot from you, I experienced your contribution. And I think in your contribution, you have such a passion. You are from a community that experiences war. We don't give support financially, but we would encourage you to go and start something. Develop your career, develop your way out. And then when I came, I started formalizing the process of registering AYINET as a national NGO. Our mission was to provide opportunity for training, mobilizing young people, mobilizing former child soldiers, and also people who are returning from captivity so that they can engage in peaceful work and peace building processes. But this was a community of northern Uganda which didn't have any opportunity to appreciate the prospect of a peaceful life because they have never seen it before. But we had to start changing. Our understanding of peace also changed. Our understanding of humanity also changed. What do people want? What do victims need? The victims who need peace need more practical peace. When we started in 2005, that was already close to 20 years when the war has been going on in northern Uganda. Resulting from the war, the conflict between the government and the Lord Resistance Army, which was abducting, mining, killing. Over 2 million people were already displaced. And not for 2 years, they were over 10 years they lived in the refugee camp. So it was such a volatile conflict environment. Worst of all, northern Uganda produces the highest numbers of child abductions in African history. It's one of the most horrific rebellion that has created a lot of horrors, displacing over 2 million people, abducting close to 50,000 children. This has been quite an environment where it was so bad. So that's where we thought we should mobilize the youth who were already affected, who wanted maybe change in life to be part of a peaceful society rebuilding. We initiated a process where we wanted to mobilize the ex-combatants and the formerly abducted, because somebody would come back home and find that situation at home is even worse than situation in the bush. Because at home, you are a target by the rebel, you are starving in the IDP camps, you're not free, you are not protected. So people reached a point where they felt much safer in rebellion, in the rebel group or in rebel camp, more than they felt at home. But as we were going, we were always encountered by more physical and emotional, severe emotional and physical challenges. That was like more a stumbling block to any prospect for peace. People are saying we are going hungry. Sometimes we see our children dying without any kind of help. We are unable, the children cannot go to school, and they are telling us that we choose peace. Where is peace? Peace was more of a foreigner that comes like today, the next day is not there. And then our approach to peace started changing. Rather than talking about peace, let's see how can it do to help the life of that person who has suffered, who is living with a bullet. So we started mobilizing war victims, those who had critical physical injuries, and those who needed more intensive psychosocial support. We started mobilizing them to go and receive medical treatment from the nearby service providers. We started by the volunteer team riding the bicycles. Our team could ride bicycles, going to collect patients on bicycle to come and get treatment for free. With all the risk, there were landmines blowing people off, there were attacks going off, but we were committed to that. And I think every time we did one or two, we could see a real practical sense of peace. So that made it possible for us to realize that peace is not only talking. Peace is not only agreement, but peace is, I think, answering the question, addressing the practical needs of someone who is not peaceful or who is not at peace. The ideas of bringing victims on the table always sounded very vague to many donors. They do think it's too much. Victims are too uninformed, too unknowledgeable, and maybe they don't understand policy issues. So the best is things can be done for them. But we say, no, we understand they have not been to school, they are victims. They did not study much, but if really we must answer the question of justice, whose justice are looking for? If it's for the victims, then they should be brought on board. So that's why I said we want to organize an event. After all this meeting with donors, most of them told us, no, good luck. But when we met and discussed with Trust Africa, they really bought the idea and they said, we want to be active players in transitional justice process in Uganda. And our approach is a victim-centered approach. And we want to ensure that transitional justice in Uganda answers the victim's question. It should be victim-centered, should be victims-friendly, and should be victims-responsive. So if we approach it from that perspective, we'll be answering the question they're asking. So when we discussed that, they bought the idea very well. It has taken us, we have had national consultation, we've been doing a lot of regional outreaches and all that. And I think coming together, this is the first ever National War Victims Conference held in Uganda, bringing on board the government ministries. Best of all, AYINET, my organization, has the better audience with the government, with the donors, with the communities, and above all with the victims. And we are very grateful to Trust Africa because when everybody said good luck, they said welcome.